Okay, I think this is working. This looks like it's working. I hope I didn't send out like notifications to everyone because this is not an exciting stream. Stream is healthy. That's good. I guess I don't have to do on-screen chat. How do I link my stream? Now it's working. Okay, cool. Now we're properly live, I think. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Okay, cool. That's good. Look, don't get your expectations sky high. This is just a stream test. Don't ignore this. It's a boring stream. Please leave. Wait, Jesus Christ, why are there so many people here? Okay. You didn't even follow me and you got a notification? How did you get a notification? That doesn't make sense. It's a secret stream. Like you're not supposed to see this. Streaming is skipping some frames. Are other people getting skipping frames? Or is it fine? No skipping frames. No. You got notifications? I wonder if I can turn that off. Like in case I do shitty streams like this one in the future, it's probably good if I can turn off. You can do it for videos, but I don't know if... Okay. Okay, seems like for most people it's fine. Are you moving to YouTube? Probably not. So I'm considering doing a... so I do math courses and shader courses with my students once a year. And I have the math course next week. And so usually I stream it to Twitch. So yes, I usually stream. I stream on Twitch. So for those of you who don't know that, then you can go to twitch.tv/acegikmo. And I can't multi-stream. That is impossible because I have a partner contract. So multi-streaming is out of the question. But I have considered doing my math course on YouTube. Because I have a feeling I have a bigger game dev audience on YouTube than Twitch. And The biggest reason I don't stream on YouTube is because copyright laws are garbage, and so I basically can't listen to music. I really, whenever I stream, I usually do work, and when I work, I usually want to listen to music. And when I listen to music, I don't want to listen to like generic gamer EDM, which is like the vast majority of the copyright-free music out there. And so just kind of just kind of sucks streaming on YouTube for me. But when I do, whenever I do my math class, I don't play music, and so then I might as well try YouTube. So I think that's going to be the experiment. We'll see how that goes. How does super chatting exist? How does that work? Let's see. Ooh, I can create a poll. Neat. Pick an option. So I can create a poll here? That's not a thing on... Okay, neat. What a poll. YouTube cuts a lot from super chats. It's better to use Stream Elements or an external donation platform. Yeah. It's just that there's super chats are integrated, so it's easier for people to do it, and so yeah. Okay. Would music and VOD still be a risk? Yes, it would be. Oh, for those of you asking for more math videos, I have been working on a sequel to the Bezier curve video, and so I have a sequel coming out, and I have been not working on it full time for a year, but I started working on it a year ago. And so it's a video about splines, and it's going to be about an hour long. So it's a very long video, and I apologize for that. So it's kind of, I didn't intend for it to become that long, but here we are. It's almost done. For those of you who are supporting me on Patreon, I did post an early version of the video there. And so the full version, the final version, is hopefully coming out whenever I'm able to release it. Ideally within 2 weeks, but probably not. It's probably going to take a little longer than that. The biggest issue is that I've been burnt out, and burnout makes it very difficult to very difficult to work, actually, turns out. And so I've had like several months where I've just been unable to work on it, which has been incredibly frustrating. And so don't expect a year-long full-time quality video. I haven't been working on it for all that time. Yeah, and I'm still trying to find, it's tricky to find the line for whether or not I've recovered, because it's vague. It's hard to tell. How do I know if I'm actually just taking time I need, or if I'm being lazy, or that whole balance is very difficult to find. Yeah. And so I'm trying. We'll see how it goes. I have been... So for those of you who don't know, I usually don't stream on YouTube. I usually stream on Twitch, and I have been streaming the development of the spline video, so while I code the video, because I make the video in Unity. So usually I go to, usually I just stream the development on Twitch. I usually don't stream here, so this is just a test, because next week I'm gonna do the math course. Math for game developers, a beginner's course. And so I'm going to attempt to do that on YouTube this time instead of Twitch, and we'll see how that goes. Do you plan to make a Unity shader graph tutorial? No. I don't have any plans for that. I have plans for videos, but not for that. I do have, let's see, what do I have plans for? The spline video, obviously, is something that I've been working on. It's almost done. Finally, I'm so tired of it. I've been staring at it for a year, and I'm like worried that it's not good enough, and geez. But I think it's good. I think people will like it. And so, yeah. What's your Twitch? Oh, Twitch. Let's see. Twitch.tv/askigma. That's my Twitch. I usually stream on Twitch. This is an anomaly. So, like I said, it's a secret stream. So, this is not an actual stream. Something different from the former recordings. It's going to be largely the same as the previous ones. So if you've already seen my math course, it's basically going to be the same thing. The one difference is that some things might be a little bit more polished. I might know a little bit more about certain topics, and then it also depends on what the students ask, because I usually want to try to be adaptive and adapt to both the knowledge of my students and what they would like to learn. So that's usually what I try to do. So they're always a little bit different. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Oh, is switching to YouTube because of the recent Twitch controversies and the future plan of forcing ads to play, or just a casual decision? I think I've been wanting to try YouTube. Because I feel like Twitch is a very gaming-centric platform, and most of my streams are not about gaming. I do game development and sometimes other creative streams like drawing, and so I feel like YouTube has a more like diverse audience and a bigger audience as well for the types of people that I'd like to reach, whereas Twitch is very like gamer-centric, and so I think there's a lot of people that I miss out on if I just stream on Twitch. And so I feel like, especially for my like educational content, I feel like doing that on YouTube is probably better. The biggest, like by far, the biggest downside, well, there are two downsides. One of them is that it's always good to diversify your platforms, as in it's better to make sure that you exist on multiple platforms in case one of them tanks or you get banned for some silly reason. Like, it's good to have like backup plans or whatever. So I'm a little bit worried about moving to YouTube for that reason, because then I have both my like video content and my streaming content on the same platform, which is a little bit scary, but not that scary. But then the biggest reason that I'm hesitant to switch to YouTube is because music is hard on YouTube. Like I basically can't listen to music anymore, which sucks. I hate it. It's so frustrating to me. Like I love listening to music and I love sharing the music that I listen to, and I just can't on YouTube. It's just not possible because copyrights just works the way it does, and it's the worst system in the world. Yeah. And so but during my math course, I'm not going to listen to music anyway. So, yeah. Is there anywhere you can actually listen to music though? Twitch has some tools where if you can have the music on a separate audio track so that it's not included in the VOD, it's only included live. And I'm pretty sure they also don't do live copyright takedowns on Twitch. But on YouTube, they do. And so it wouldn't work on YouTube. They're like literally warning you, like, oh, don't watch like music videos or whatever and let it play for more than like 30 seconds. Because then you might get a copyright takedown, like an automated takedown. Whereas on Twitch, I feel like it's not really enforced in the same way. And you can also remove it from the VOD. And so on Twitch, you can generally listen to music fine, but don't tell them I told you that. Again, this is a secret stream, so... Actually, all of this is just something I heard from my friend. It's not like I actually play music on my streams. I would never do that. But yeah, so I've just been wanting to try YouTube, see how it works out. How's this poll going? What a poll. Okay, cool. So usually I would set up like an on-screen chat, but I don't usually have that on my when I do my educational like math courses and whatnot. So I don't think I need to set that up. I think that's good. We're ending this poll. Okay. Is there anything else I need to test? I don't know how to link people my stream. Do I have to like go to my YouTube and then find the link to this quote unquote video, or because on Twitch it's always the same link. Is this secret? Yes, this is secret. Just copy the URL at the top, but it's like studio.youtube.com. I feel like that's right, yeah, so it's always a unique URL per stream. That's a little gross, but okay, that's fine, I guess. Just a second. How come it's secret if it was suggested to me? Yeah, that's a deep mystery, isn't it? It's a good thing that it's a link of the VOD later, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it's better for like planned events than Twitch. I think that's very good. Your camera looks so good. I feel like it's a little bit too good right now because I have like zits all over my face and I don't want them to show, you know? So I kind of should have a worse camera now. What are we doing today? This is literally just a streaming test because I'm going to stream next week. And so I just wanted to make sure that it works. And it seems to work. It seems like there are people here responding to what I say, so... Ludwig did a whole thing with royalty-free music for anyone to use, but it's mostly classical stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. Like every time you go to royalty-free music, you get very limited options. The vast majority is like gamer EDM and lo-fi hip-hop and I guess classical music apparently. And nothing that anyone has ever heard of, for the most part. There are some specific artists that make a point out of releasing royalty-free stuff, but it's like, yeah, I just hate feeling that limited. Like I would love to be able to just like pay for all of the songs that I want to listen to. I can even do it individually, like buy every single song that I listen to be able to play them. But like the infrastructure for that just doesn't exist in the like music industry, which I hate. It just sucks. It's just so bad. Yeah. What will you stream about? I don't have any plans for streaming anything specific. I mean, I could, but I can't listen to music, so I'm gonna be sad because I can't listen to what I usually want to listen to. We need cats? Where are the cats? You know, we have 3 cats and none of them are visible. I don't even know where they are. I think that all of them might be in the bedroom. Can't you just listen to it in your headphones? I can, but it's like sharing music is something I really, really enjoy. I also really enjoy, yeah, like that part of it. I like sharing music. I like it when I can like play something and then someone is like, oh, I really like that song, and then we can share music. I think that's fun. Like, but apparently sharing music is a bad thing. So, you know, the industry has decided that we shouldn't do that. Don't stream yourself and just play music anyway. You can do that on Twitch, but not on YouTube. So, like, well, you can if it's royalty free and YouTube safe, then it's fine. But I constantly listen to music and sing when doing game dev. Yeah, exactly. That's what I want. So, okay. All right. I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't have any plans. This was just literally just a test stream. You're all gonna get very disappointed. I guess I should show something to not like. I guess I should do something. I guess I can show you the very what am I doing? Unity. I can show you the brief overview of the spline video because that's the next thing I'm releasing. Pretty background. Thanks. I like it too. It's made by Izzy Burton. So if you wanna check out her work, you should look it up. Okay, so the upcoming video is about splines, and splines is kind of a much more generalized way to define curves that also lets you have local control. Because if you're familiar with a lot of like math algorithms that, you know, if you have points on a graph and you want a curve that passes through all of those points, there are some like I forgot what it's called. There's a way to interpolate between all of those points, but most of those methods of interpolation, the more points you add, the more unstable it becomes, and it starts having these like oscillations. And so splines is kind of a way to solve that by only having by basically having separate functions for each segment. And so that's kind of what splines are all about. Like you're given some control points in a, let's see, where's the, so what splines basically do is that they let you control certain sections of a much longer path, I guess we should call it. But it's basically a set of piecewise functions. So every segment here is a separate math function that are defined by the control points around it. So these are called control points. Yeah. Isn't this Bezier curves? The Bezier spline is one way you can generate curves, but there are many different curve generators out there. And so what the video is going to be about is about splines. And splines is basically the catch-all name for this type of curve generating functions, where given a discrete number of points, you generate a path, and that path is a piecewise path. So piecewise functions. So you can make paths using Bezier curves, but you don't have to. There are many different other like methods of doing that. So for example, this one is a B spline. It's not a Bezier curve spline. Does Unity have a native spline component? Yes, they do. Yeah, it's a package. I forget if it's good. I actually haven't used it much because I don't want to spoil myself. Because I'm kind of developing my own spline plugin now, and I want to go into it neutral and design things my own way instead of like trying to replicate or outpace someone else's plugin. I feel like it keeps my design space more clear to me. Yeah. It might be dumb to do it that way, but I wonder where the word spline comes from. I think it's from. I think there was some sort of bendy piece of physical item that people used to use. Oh, first ban. Let's see. How do we ban someone? Okay, do I report or remove? I guess report. Okay, there I go. Okay. Yeah, so spline was like I think it was a name for like a bendable piece of material. And then you would use that to draw along a curve. But it's kind of different from the definition of spline that we use now. Or at least the way that I want to define spline. There are many bad definitions of splines that I disagree with, that I don't like, that I disavow officially as some sort of spokesperson, I guess. Yeah, some people call them piecewise polynomials, and I feel like that's an overly restrictive and unhelpful definition of splines. I think Wikipedia defines it that way, and I don't like it, and so I disagree with them. Oh, how come they look twisted? Oh, so these, so if you have a 2D spline, the orientation basically only has one answer. But when it comes to 3D, like space curves, like 3D space, the rotation is ambiguous. And so there's no one right answer here. And so you kind of have to decide what do you want the orientation to be around any given point. And there are many different ways of doing it. And so the one you're seeing right now is the Freya frame, which is kind of a curvature-based orientation. So you can see that when it's curving to the right here, it's oriented one way, but then it flips as it's curving to the left. So the twisting is fully determined by curvature. Yeah, so that's the Freya frame, but it's usually not what you want to do if you're designing a roller coaster, right? If you're making a roller coaster, you want to have explicit control over the roll. And so to do that, you're going to have to use more sophisticated things. Usually you would need some sort of like quaternion interpolation. You can also like interpolate a reference up direction between control points. There are many different ways of doing it. But yeah. So that's the whole thing. I know nothing about splines except SimCity needed to reticulate them. So I looked it up. Reticulate apparently just means to arrange. And so I guess what I'm doing now is that I'm reticulating the spline. So there you go. I'm arranging it. Are we making a roller coaster? I don't know what we're making. I'm just rambling. Like this was just a test stream. I don't have a plan. So I guess I guess it's a casual AMA while I'm noodling around. Does your new video go over Catmull ROM splines? Yes. Oh yeah, I didn't open the video. Boy, oh boy, this whole video. I've been working on this for so long. Let's see. I haven't worked out the intro to the video yet. I feel like the intro is very lacking right now. But at the same time, the intro to my Bezier video was also very elaborate, and I don't want to know if I want to set that, like, I don't know if I want to set that expectation for every video to have a very elaborate intro, and so, like, I don't know. Anyway, so this video is about splines, and it is 35 minutes of animations, which in practice is about an hour of actual video in the end. Hey, look, it's all of you if you're supporting me on Patreon. And so, yeah, so basically what this video is about is that we start out with Bezier curves in terms of like, well, what are Bezier curves? How do they work? And so we mostly focused on the cubic Bezier curve in the Bezier video. So I do recap a little bit of the Bezier video here, but then we move on to some different interpretations of how to interpret the math behind the cubic Bezier curve. And that's going to be relevant and important later for how we interpret all of these things. So like these things we covered in the Bezier video. So the de Castelnau format and the Bernstein form of the Bezier curve is already covered, but in this video I'm also going to show another one that is basically an optimized version of it, where you arrange it in terms of polynomial coefficients, which I think is kind of neat, because the nice thing about this one is that you can cache these vectors that are the coefficients for each power of t, right? And so it's pretty fast if you want to implement it in practice, which is kind of neat. And so that's a neat thing, although it's a little bit hard to geometrically interpret, but you know, that's fine. But you can also reframe it as like different powers of t multiplied by vectors, and those vectors are based on the shape of the, based on the position of the control points, right? Yeah, and so this is kind of the intro, talk about the matrix form of the cubic Bezier curve. And then from there, kind of draw some comparisons. And then we generalize the Bezier curve, because you can make it Bezier curves of like any degree, really. And so this one has 13 control points. So this would be a dodecic Bezier curve. And so if you want to make a longer path, let's say you're making a game where you have these like, I don't know, railroads or something, then you might think that you want to use like higher degree Bezier curves, but they are difficult to control. There are many downsides to using them. The biggest reason you don't want to use higher degree Bezier curves is that you don't have a thing called local control, as in every point, every control point will affect the position of every point on the curve itself. So you can't really just modify a small part of the path. And so that makes the higher degree Bezier curves not very useful. And so this is kind of going into what justifies splines, right? Yeah, so that's kind of the intro to like getting to know splines and the reason for them existing, why they're useful, and some of their drawbacks, that kind of stuff. And so now we're moving on from the Bezier curve to the Bezier spline, which you can interpret as just multiple Bezier curves stitched together to form a full path instead of just, you know, one curve between those points. And so that's the Bezier spline. And so that's the first spline we're going to talk about. And so that's the thing. And then we're gonna talk about splines. The splines get a little bit more complicated because you're effectively, you need some way to convert from your input parameter to each curve itself as well, and so there's a little bit of a process to just do that conversion step. But yeah, so this is kind of the anatomy of of splines. I don't know why I'm going through the video. I don't know if it's interesting. Satisfying to see how the video editor uses splines to dial in animations about splines? Yeah. What's your workflow for making these animations? I have my own... Oh boy, I made a custom animation tool for code-driven animations. I've been working on this video to a large part live on Twitch, so I do some development streams there. And yeah, so it's basically code-driven animations where I have, you know, objects in the scene to define like the positions of objects or the size of objects, like that kind of stuff. Because it's nice to be able to tweak that in real time instead of just punching in numbers for literally everything. And so it's a bit of a hybrid between code-driven animations and like more traditional like scene setups in game dev, I suppose. But yeah, so it's a lot of just custom animation tools to make this whole timeline thing. But the timeline is effectively just reflecting the animation code. So most of the animations I do in code. So I just write draw spline from this point to this point, or do it with this color, or draw this label here, like that kind of stuff. I just do it in code, and then the animation code is similar. The animation is basically move this or change this value to this value across 3 seconds with this easing function. Like most of my animation code looks like that. So is it possible to have English subtitles for your videos? For my prepared content, I usually do, yeah. Unless the video is too long, because then YouTube won't auto-generate them. And I'm not gonna like write subtitles for like a 4-hour stream. It takes a long time. Alright, Sophie, thanks for joining. Yeah, so now we're kind of like jumping into the cubic Bezier spline, which is by far the most common spline out there. Basically, all of the... didn't I report this person just now? How does one do this? Is there no way to just ban someone? Okay. Timeline editor looks so good. Thank you. Okay. And so we're going through Bezier curves, Bezier splines, and then here's where we get into something that I think is more interesting and something that I feel like I never hear game developers talk about. And so you'll want to mod people to handle spam? Yes. I don't know who to mod because I had a lot of moderators on Twitch. I don't know who to mod here. Excuse me. I don't have my mute button, so I can't mute when I clear my throat because my audio setup decided to stop working just before this. Yeah, so one thing that I feel like game developers rarely talk about is the concept of continuity. Even though continuity is kind of one of the most important things when it comes to splines, like what justifies looking into different splines and how they're designed, like mathematically. So I think it's really interesting, and so I spend a huge part of the video talking about continuity and what that means. And so continuity is effectively analyzing the change between each separate segment of the spline. And that change can have different levels of abruptness or continuity or smoothness. And so that's a really fascinating thing to analyze. And so like a third of the video, if not more, is dedicated to just talking about continuity. And so we start out by talking about parametric continuity, which is basically analyzing whether or not the derivatives are continuous, as in connected. And so we can like draw a graph over the velocity. So this is the graph of the derivative of the spline. And so you might be able to tell that the graph is not connected. And because it's not connected, it is not continuous. It is discontinuous, which is kind of fascinating. And so if you want it to be continuous, using like the cubic Bezier spline, you have to align the tangents. So now all of the tangent points are getting modified, and now you can see that the velocity graph is connected again. And so now we've made it one more level of continuous, because now the velocity is also continuous in and of itself. But yeah, so that's continuity, and then we dive into some specifics about how you do this in practice. If our two cubic Bezier curve to join with C1 continuity, then they have to be mirrored against each other. So then, no matter how we move this one, it is always connected in the first derivative as well. And then it's natural to ask the question of like, okay, so if we have C1 continuity, can we achieve C2 continuity? Because it's still not super fully continuous. If we look at this point, you can see that it changes the rate of rotation very abruptly. It might be hard to tell because stream quality and whatnot, but it's worth analyzing the acceleration. So if we do that, then you might see that that too is disconnected. It is not continuous. And so then the next step is to figure out, okay, how do we make that continuous? Can we make it even smoother? And so that is the next thing we're gonna get into and try to figure that out. That leads to a lot of interesting things happening. Yeah, and so that's what the video is gonna be about. And so that's parametric continuity. Then we're going to move on to geometric continuity, which is more relevant if you just care about the shape. So if you're doing like, this is spoilers. Yeah, I'm sorry, spoilers. Geometric continuity is effectively looking at the shape of the curve if we ignore the speed at which we trace it out, which is kind of fascinating. It's sort of like a parameterization independent way to measure continuity. Is there an estimated date for releasing this video? The estimate is at least 2 weeks, but probably more than that. Is my guess. It's almost done, but the problem is that I've been dealing with burnout, and so I can't work consistently, and so it's really hard for me to predict things, unfortunately. But yeah, so now, if we want to do geometric analysis of this one, so while previously we were looking at the velocity, so this is the velocity vector at any given point. But what we can do is that we can look at the tangent direction, because the tangent direction doesn't care about speed. And so now we're looking at the tangent and the normal direction. And so you can see that the tangent direction is continuous over that point. The velocity changes magnitude, but the tangent still, it doesn't change at all. And so that's kind of a fascinating and useful property. And so that's why geometric continuity also is a concept that we care about. Yeah, and so we're analyzing geometric continuity, and then in order to go further, to go to G2 continuity, it's very useful to look at this in 3D, because the spotting G2 discontinuities is easier when you're looking at the reflection of a surface. And so you can see that in this case, there's a discontinuity. Like it looks like something is happening across this join here, right? Like it doesn't look smooth. And that's because it is not G2 continuous. It's only G1 continuous. And that's kind of weird and kind of unexpected. And so that's something we're looking into this video as well. So that's the we're looking at lots of continuity properties, talking about the rounded corners, and those are only G1 as well. That's kind of neat. And then we're trying to figure out what this is and so forth. Then we're looking at curvature, which we did last video too. Looking at the osculating circle, which I incorrectly called the oscillating circle. Apparently the C is hard. It's not a soft C, and then I got like a million comments about how I pronounce things. Anyway, curvature. Then we're analyzing more stuff, summarizing geometric continuity, giving a very formal, annoying definition that's hard to parse, and then summarizing continuity. And then we get into more splines, as in not just the Bezier spline, because it's not all about Bezier curves, even though we might want it to be. And so we're going to look into different types of splines. We're going to start with the Hermite spline, or Hermite. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not French. And so that's there. Going to talk about that, and then that's the Hermite spline. But it is a soft C? No, it's not. No, stop. Okay. So here's, do I have it? Can I write text? I don't know how to write text without opening things I don't want to open on stream. Why is it installing Notion? I just... how do I just make a thing? There we go. Okay, thing. Okay, here. I'm gonna give you the rundown of what happened. Okay, so there are two words. There's a word called oscillating. So this is for things like a harmonic oscillation, when something is like trigonometrically oscillating, usually between two things or whatever. But then there's also another word, which is osculating, which is a different word. These are different things. So osculating is like, usually when you talk about the osculating circle, it is a circle that has the same curvature as a point on the curve. And so that's called osculating. The problem is that I mispronounced osculating because I thought the C was soft. So I was like, okay, so I'm just going to say it's oscillating. So it's slightly different from oscillating. Very slightly different. But then I got 50 million YouTube comments about like, oh, did you know it's actually called osculating? It's called osculating. Like every morning I woke up with like notifications about people correcting me and not reading the description where I try to correct this. And then I have to ban this goddamn shit person again. Anyway, yeah. So they're different words. Osculating to kiss? I feel like nobody uses the word osculate to mean kiss. But so I feel like that doesn't really help. I feel like you add just another layer of indirection in explaining the word. So, anyway. And so in this video, I'm going to pronounce it correctly. And then I'm going to get a million YouTube comments about people incorrectly saying that I mispronounce oscillating. So I think there's not going to be any way to win. Actually, if I put it up on screen, then it might be fine. But I think at this point, I actually want to get those comments. Because it would be very funny to get people correcting me in both directions. I think I'm going to keep it that way, just to keep things interesting, you know? Please explain NURBS. I wanted this video to go all the way from LERP to NURBS. That was kind of my original intent with this video. The problem is that, well, I mentioned it before, I got burnt out severely in the middle of development of this whole thing. And so it was very difficult for me to, well, do the whole thing because it's a shit ton of work. And the problem is that the scope of the video is already 1 hour long, and I haven't even gotten to non-uniform splines. And it's really hard to talk about NURBS without covering non-uniform splines in general before you get to that. And so, unfortunately, this video, I'm not going to talk that much about non-uniform splines. I did do the research for it though, so I know how they work and whatnot, but yeah. I mentioned NURBS at the very end, so if you want a very short, if you want a very short definition of NURBS, here you go. Are you ready? Here it is. So this is a B-spline, which maybe you know about those. I talk about them in this video, but this is what a B-spline looks like. A non-uniform B-spline means that the knot values are not uniform. In other words, they can be whatever they want. Knot values are kind of like time values, and they also correspond to where the curves meet each other. And then you can also do the non-uniform rational B-spline, which is effectively a way where you can add weights to any individual points. So you can prioritize certain points in the spline. So in this case, this point, the green one here, got a lower priority, and then it got a higher priority. So you can kind of scale the weight of each point. So that is usually called NURBS. So that's NURBS. There you go. That was the short version. Without explaining how to implement it or anything, how you got here, and so forth. So there you go. Hope you learned NURBS. So I just have them as an aside at the end of the video. I don't fully explain them. So then so I kind of quickly mentioned NURBS. I circle back to a thing in the beginning of the video where I talk about how color gradients are effectively just splines in color space. So I show an example here with, like, if you have the input values is going to be the luminosity or the grayscale version of an image, and then the output is going to then be based on this spline in color space. And so if you change the spline, you're going to change the colors of the output, which I think is it's an interesting perspective to look at color gradients. And so, yeah, I think it's just a neat way to end the video, kind of to some inspiring, weird use cases. How many times do I need to ban this person? I don't know how to do this. Do they just keep reappearing with the same name? Anyway, so that's the outro to the video. So now you've been spoiled on the entire video. I think the video is gonna be when is it gonna be out? Yeah, I mentioned it before. I think it's going to be out in, like, ideally 2 weeks, but probably not. It's probably going to be out in like a month-ish. I don't know. This is an example of how you can use the Hermite spline for animation, which is the most popular spline for animating things. I want to date hot splines in my area. True. Am I right in assuming NURBS are the same used in CAD? Yes. There are so many people asking me what I use to make my animations. I make them in Unity. The timeline is my own. It's a custom tool. And most of the animations and all of that stuff is code driven, so I write it in code, and then the animations are parsed from that code, basically. Is there any way we can make a 3D mesh follow a spline through the cross section of the mesh? Yes. Actually, I have code for that on my Patreon. Like pretty old code at this point. Could we see a sample of what your animation code looks like? Sure. So for some things, I do the animation using like Unity's animation curves. So for this one that you see here, I did that one using the Unity animation curves, and those are already splines, and so they're easy to edit and all of that, and so I could just directly use that. And so the animation code, I can show that too. Do you use dot tween? For my game projects I usually do, but not for this project. Okay, so this is what my animation code usually looks like. It's just usually string-based. It used to not be string-based, but basically, like, animate this to a value of 1 using this easing function and then wait for it to finish, and so forth. And so, like this one, I iterate through it's some number of things. I think it's 9. So I iterate through 9 different objects, and then I hide those objects in a sequence. So I wait until each of those finishes, and then I add a pause. In this case, a negative pause. So this is basically what my animation code looks like. And then for my drawing, where I draw everything, I just read off of these values, basically. Yeah. And so the drawing code is a little bit different. Is this a coroutine? No. And so when drawing, I have a method to get the current value of any given animated value. And then I draw based on that using my vector graphics library for the most part. So in this case, I'm drawing a polyline. So I'm just drawing a polyline between a set of points, and then that's kind of it. Yep. So in this case, I sample a Bezier curve at point count number of points, and then I draw a polyline between those points, and then I also draw dots at every single one of those points. So this section right here is drawing this part. So I animate the number of points drawn in my animation code, and so then the drawing code automatically just responds to that because I render it every frame. And so it's drawing this polyline and then a dot at every vertex, and that's exactly what this is doing. So I define a new polyline path, add the points to the polyline, draw the polyline, and then I draw the dots on top of that. Yes, the timeline window is a fully custom window. I have a lot of custom tools, and so. And so that's basically how I set up all of this. It's a lot of janky tools that are not very user friendly, but they work for me, and so there we go. Stream quality is great, by the way. That's good. Camera seems slightly oversaturated. Maybe a little bit, but sometimes I like it that way. I think I do have a lookup table for the webcam. There we go, now it's off. But now it's like, now it looks a little bit more green. I don't know, I don't like green. Green is not a good color, and so I like to push things a little bit toward the reds and the blues. Why do you choose Unity over something else? So the reason I chose Unity is because I really like coding in C#, and I've been using Unity as a game developer for the past 12 years. And so like I know how to do all of these things, and I know how to get from point A to B in Unity. But if I use anything else, it's going to be harder for me to do that. And so, yeah. It's just a tool that I've been using for most of my adult life. And so I don't know why. So you started around 6? Do you think I'm 18 years old? I am not 18 years old. Is it possible to add modifiers to the curve outputs? Are you talking about my tool or splines in general? I don't really know what the question is. Talk about continuity in several levels. My question is, if I record a line made by the track of a car in a circuit, would this line be continuous? So, I mean, if you're talking about the movement of physical objects, it gets hard to talk about splines because physical objects are generally not like defined by mathematical functions in that way. Like, we usually just approximate it and like hand wave away minor factors. But like but I guess if you're talking about the path of a car, then it would basically depend on how you're turning the wheel. So if you instantaneously turn the wheel so that maybe you're turning in one direction, and then instantaneously you set the wheels. Well, you turn the wheel and instantaneously set the wheels to turn instantaneously to some other angle. Then you would have a discontinuity in acceleration. In other words, if you can instantaneously change the wheel, then that would be equivalent to G1 continuity. But smoothly changing it, even if you start linearly, you can do a linear start and linear stop, like a very that looks pretty harsh. That's gonna be G2 continuous. If you smoothly start and stop, it's gonna be higher than that. If you want the car analogy, I guess. Use external packages to create and record your timelines for videos? No, I wrote my own plugin for that. Your video about the Bezier curves has been inspiration. Yeah, no worries. I'm happy to hear that. Yoshi, finally. How do I moderate you? Add a moderator. Okay, neat. Are there any other people who are moderators in my Twitch? Who's here that I should moderate? Sorry, the bath was too comfy. Don't apologize for that. Baths are great. You should stay in baths if they're comfy. Okay. How are you doing, like in general? It's a very difficult question to answer publicly and talk about publicly or talk about in general. I don't know. I'm good sometimes, and sometimes I'm not doing good. And so there you go, that's my answer. Um, do you plan on making more shader tutorials in the future? Probably. The thing is, like, making videos takes a very long time for me. Um, and so I don't have this plan for like 10 different videos in my head at once. It's usually like I have my current projects and then I have like 2, maybe 3 ideas for things I want to do next. But I'm trying to take it one step at a time. I don't like planning things too much. But I do have a plan for the next video, and after the spline video that I'm working on right now, the spline video was way too big. It's like, again, like I mentioned, it's literally 35 minutes of code-driven animations. And then in practice with voiceover and timing and everything, it's going to be about 1 hour long if I don't include the credits. And so this project became way too big, like huge. This is probably contributed to my burnout, which is not good because I don't want to be burnt out. It sucks so much. I just really don't want to. Anyway, could you break it up into part 1 and part 2? It's kind of what I've already done now. And so here we go. My 1 hour video is part 1. Yeah, and so this video is too long. I should not make videos that are this long. It actually, it is very bad for my health. So I'm not gonna make a video. At least the next video is not gonna be this long. And I think my plan after the spline video is that I'm gonna try to make shorter videos. The problem is that, like, as soon as I start making a video about any given topic, is that I get ideas while making the video that I really want to include in the final video. And so it grows, inevitably. Whatever I plan from the beginning, it's going to be bigger than that, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the initial scope of the video is tiny. So if I start out with a 1-minute video, then it's going to grow into a 10-minute video. I think that's better. Because, like, for the spline video, I started out with a plan for a video that would be like 30 minutes, and then it grew into an hour. And more if I went with my original plan. But now I basically cut off basically the last half of non-uniform splines because I just don't have time. I just can't spend more time on this project now. So I'm trying to wrap it up as soon as possible. But it's pretty much done. There are lots of like minor things I can tweak. I have like a to-do list of things. And I've fixed most of them. I still need to record the final voiceover, and I'm also waiting for Jazz Mickle to finish her music. So yeah, kind of just doing the minor cleanup stuff. I need to record the voiceover, and then Jazz has to finish the music. But then it's pretty much done. Still have some things I'm working on in the credits section. I need like titles above some of these things. Like the credits section is a little bare bones right now. I need to add titles above here and above here, I think. Yes, a new video is coming. This is the new video. You're looking at it-ish. Well, my stream of my work file for the video, I guess. Anyway, and there are 3 cats now instead of just 1. Yeah, scope creep is very much an issue for me. I feel like the anxiety is like increased due to like I don't know, I get anxiety about like YouTube comments. I feel like if I exclude something, then I'm gonna get like a million comments about like, oh, why don't you talk about NERBs? I really wanted to see NERBs. You should have talked about NERBs. How could you forget to talk about NERBs? You have to talk about NERBs. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't like leaving things out, but this video is made by 4cats. Yes. Just don't read us. That might be good. That might be good, yeah. Anyway. Remember, even bad comments are good for engagement? Yeah, but they're not like super good for my health, because like negativity bias, you know? Okay. You can disable comments. I don't like disabling comments. I want feedback. I think I mean, I think it's good to have feedback. And even if I get like shitty comments, like usually I can just brush them off because that's not really feedback anyway. Like if someone is like, oh, you left out NERBs, you idiot. Like I'm not gonna, that's not feedback I'm listening to. Like, it's just that I do get that like emotional reaction, I guess. Or actually, I get a much stronger emotional reaction if it's like, if it's someone who's like genuinely disappointed that I didn't talk about a specific thing. Like, there's a difference between that and someone who's just being an asshole. Like, people who are just being assholes, it's hard to care about them. Like, I don't care much, but yeah. Okay. Is there anyone else I should make a moderator? Trying to see if I recognize names from Twitch mods. They don't have constructive criticism. They're probably not smart enough to even care for. Well, sometimes it's like, sometimes people can have non-constructive criticism, but sometimes you can tell that the emotion has a valid root, or like you can tell that something was missing in the video. Maybe not exactly what they said, or exactly like the solution might not be what they are saying we should do, you know? So you have to like kind of filter all of the comments, right? Leaving out info isn't a bad thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get the... Yes, that is true, but then my go-to is usually like, okay, well, it's better to leave it in and properly explain it instead of just like throwing in complicated topics just for the sake of throwing them in. Also, no, this timeline is custom. This is not Unity's timeline. I should probably rename this to something else so that people stop asking if it's Unity's timeline. Maybe I can rename it to Freya's custom timeline or something, just to make it like ultra clear. Can I do that? What does Unity think of doing that? I wonder if Unity is going to get very sad if I forget how to set the title. Okay, how about that? Does that work? Is that even gonna fit? Is it gonna expand the tab to fit that? I'm curious. Almost. Damn, it is pretty wide actually. Neat. Okay, maybe remove the very. Maybe that it works. There we go. Freya's custom timeline. Why do you choose Unity? Because I have used Unity for the past 12 years and I like C#, and it's interactive and I know how to make things in Unity. So that's why. This is not the Unity timeline, Tom. This is my own timeline. As you can tell by the title of the timeline right here, it says Freya's custom timeline. How has Unity not hired you already? Because I said no, because I don't want to work at Unity. Can you add an FAQ somewhere? I could. I do have an FAQ on my Twitch, but most people don't read it. I am not streaming on Twitch. No, I'm not allowed to. As in, I have a partner contract on Twitch, so I can't do multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. I mean, I can, but I'm going to get unpartnered on YouTube or Twitch if I do that. Okay. What am I doing? Did I even have a plan? Actually, I need to moderate some more people. Who do I make a moderator? Okay. 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 Do I end the stream? I don't know. I literally did not have a plan for this stream. Unless you have any other questions before I go. Anything you wanna? I've been answering a lot of questions already, I guess, but when will you be streaming next? Oh, next week. I'm gonna be doing the Math for Game Developers course for my students at Future Games, and so I'm gonna stream that on YouTube, hopefully. And so if you want to catch that, then feel free. It's gonna be it's free on YouTube, but my students, I'm gonna prioritize my students at the school, and so I'm not gonna be reading chat unless it's during a break, and so that's what I'm gonna do. And so yeah, that's the plan. Okay. Are you a teacher? Yes. Any recommendations for learning shader development? Yes, my YouTube channel. If you haven't found my YouTube channel, then you should go to my YouTube channel and watch my beginner shader tutorial series. Hey, Ashley. How does one enlist to become a student? You do not. Unless you apply to Future Games, but it's like a 2-year vocational education in Stockholm. So like, it's a whole process. It's not just like an easy sign up online. Will you stream part 5 from the Math for Game Dev series? There is no part 5. I'm gonna do part 1 through 4, I think, again. The content is basically gonna be basically the same as last time with some minor differences, depending on what the students want and so forth. So if you've already seen the Math for Game Dev series, it's gonna be basically the same. It's not much different. I forget if budget cuts was single pass instanced or multi-pass. I don't remember. Yeah, Future Games is both in Stockholm and remote. Like they do have a classroom, but some people are remote. Can you describe the functionalities of your timeline? Well, there are many functionalities. I guess it depends on which part you are asking about. So the timeline itself is pretty basic. Like all I really do on the timeline is navigate. So I click and drag to go to any point in the timeline. And then I can also press spacebar to play the animations. It has a few other features as well. Like I can set the playback rate to be like 4 times as fast, and then it's going to be very speedy. Or I can play it backwards, like do that kind of stuff. I have video export features as well. And yeah, and so that's basically what I have in the timeline itself. But then the timeline will read off of the animation data that I define through code. And so that's kind of the other side of the timeline itself. So the timeline you see here is pretty much just a tiny part of what it encapsulates for all of the animation tools and whatnot. And I have no plans on releasing this tool. It is very, very much just a tool for me. So it's kind of hacky. It's not commercially viable at all right now. It leaks a lot because like generating garbage doesn't really matter for just offline videos like this. And so it's like it's not really a tool for game development at all. What's the topic of the video you're working on? So this is the follow-up to the Bezier curve video. The name of this video is The Continuity of Splines. And so the video is all about splines. Mostly going to cover uniform splines, but we're going to go all the way from Bezier curves to Bezier splines. Then we're going to talk a lot about parametric continuity. Then we're going to talk about geometric continuity. And then we're going to talk about Hermite splines, and then a little bit about the linear spline, the cardinal spline, and then we're going to talk about the Catmull-Rom spline, and then we're going to talk finally about the B-spline. There we go. We did it. And then that's it. Talk a little bit about how we define splines and some summary at the end. Quickly mention the non-uniform rational B-spline, usually known as NURBS. There we go, NURBS. And then how color gradients, you can kind of interpret them as splines in color space, which is kind of a neat perspective. Yeah, and then roll credits. There we go. That's the video. Now you've been spoiled for the entire video. Have you done any visualizations of quaternion rotations? I've been looking into it and I got very sidetracked into geometric algebra. And so I haven't... I have plans to talk about rotations, but I'm not sure how to do it yet. I have a few other videos I'd like to do before that, but I have ideas, so... Hmm. Do you think it's a good idea to start learning to code shaders now that Unity has a shader graph? Depends on your goals. I mean, you do learn shader programming even if you're using shader graph. It's just that you're not going to learn how to write it by hand, right? And so it's still useful to learn either of them. It's just that like you have to kind of depends on what your goals are. If you want to get into a lot of like low level custom shaders, then usually it's good to know how to do it by code. But yeah. Would you describe yourself as a game developer or something else? At this point, I don't know. I don't know. I used to say that I was a game developer, but for the past like 2 years, I've mostly been doing video editing or like video creation and animation and like educational content. And so I haven't done actual game development apart from some minor like freelance work for a long time. And so I don't know. I'm in flux right now. We'll see. I guess I'm a YouTuber at the moment, so. Did you start out learning OpenGL? No. I started with Game Maker a long time ago. Or before that, I did modding for a lot of games. It was kind of a natural path from modding to using level editors for like the Serious Sam games and for Team Fortress 2 and Elder Scrolls. And then I went from there into the Unreal Engine and then from Unreal to Unity. Which games did you mod? So Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. I was modding Serious Sam The Second Encounter. I was modding Trackmania. I was modding a game called Liero, which is like real-time worms, basically. I used to mod Team Fortress 2. I used to mod Portal, Half-Life 2, Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2. Yeah, a lot of them. And that's my childhood. I mean, they were not the Team Fortress 2 stuff was mostly level design. If you want to find my Team Fortress 2 levels, it's CP_glacier and PL_repository. Those were my two main finished levels. I also made an art pass contest contribution, and I got in second place, which I'm really grumpy about. I really wanted to win that one. Well, whatever. It's fine, I guess. Have you heard of a game called Flatout? Yes, I played some of them, not all of them. I think I played maybe 2 of them, but I forget which ones. Maybe the first one and then the PSP one, I think. I forget. Okay. All right. Are we... I don't understand this. Okay, I keep getting this spam. I've been reporting them. I've been removing them from the channel. I've been like trying to press every button I can press, and they keep showing up. Are they like rapidly just creating accounts? I don't get it. I'm really confused by this. Okay. I notice you're wearing plus lenses. I don't know what that means. Like my glasses, or? Okay, so a lot of you have requested cats. I think they're all napping. I can see if I can if they're awake in the bedroom. I can see if I can poke them and see if they want to say hi to y'all. Okay, I'll be right back. See if I can find some cats. Hello. Hi, Salad. So this is Salad, in case you haven't met him yet. What's up? Blink. Okay. Yeah, he has a lot of paw fluff. Like, look at this. This is a lot of... It's so long. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tickle you. How old is Salad? He is 8 months. And so he's not very old. He's still a kitten. Yeah. Oh. So Salad has a brother called Toast. And then we have Uncle Thor, who some of you might have seen or heard on my stream before. Oh, he's gone. He went into the tunnel. Yeah, he's pretty big. Salad. Hey. Hey, Salad. It's a little complicated. I'm sorry. Salad. What are you doing? Come on, Salad. Come on, buddy. He's just stomping on my tax documents. Hey, Salad. Come on, buddy. Come on, Salad. Salad. Really? Is that so? Hey, Salad. Come on, buddy. Salad. He's just hanging out. What's that grid thing? Oh, that's a DDR pads. Dance Dance Revolution. Hey, buddy, what's your... That's where my keyboard goes. Wait, Salad. You're not a keyboard. Boy? Hey. Why does it look like a tiny itty bitty snowball princess boy? Because he is a tiny itty bitty snowball princess boy. Clearly. Just look at him. Just look at him. Boop. He is our little cloud lion. Where's your old cats? Depends on which one you're asking about. Thor, who's been in a lot of my videos. He's napping in the bedroom. If you're asking about Kelly, who is in like my first upload on this website when he was a kitten, he lives with my dad. And so, yep. That is a Pixel, yes. Which I'm about to replace. I just got a new phone because this one is dying. How do you choose his name? Oh, Salad? Oh god, how did we choose his name? So there's a... I don't know if I'm gonna find it. There's a tweet. There's a tweet somewhere where someone made a joke about a vet calling their cat a chonk boy, where they were like, oh, I've heard of bok choy, but this right here, this is a chonk boy. And I thought that was very funny. And so I think bok choy somehow turned into salad, and so he's just called Salad. Yeah, so he's Salad. His brother is named Toast. He has a toasted snoot and toasted ears and toasted feet. So he has a little bit more dark colors. Thanks. And then we have Thor. And none of us named Thor. Thor was named by the shelter. Is it dying? Planned obsolescence already? The problem with my Pixel is that for the past 2 years the battery life is just terrible, and if my camera or if the battery is under 50%, taking a picture will shut it down. Sometimes it doesn't even start, and so I just have a lot of issues. it's just like every time I take a picture, I have to be nervous about it shutting down. So now I'm at like 44% battery, which is pretty okay. But there's a high chance that it's going to shut down if I take a picture. I mean, I can try. It might be fine in this case, but take pictures of salad. Seems fine. 43% battery, so that's good at least. Hey! Hey, salad. Whoop. Sniff, sniff. He's yawning a lot. What are we doing here? Just connected? Who knows? We're not doing anything in particular. That's what we're doing. I've just been rambling. I mostly wanted to test streaming here. Does recording a video also kill it? Yeah. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I usually stream on Twitch. I generally don't stream on YouTube. The one exception is that I'm going to stream my math class next week on YouTube. But otherwise, I usually stream on Twitch. So if you want to check that out, then you can go to my Twitch. If I had a keyboard, I would send you a link, but I don't have a keyboard right now. My keyboard is currently a cat. Doop, doop, doop. Okay. Thanks, Yoshi. But yeah, so there's my Twitch link if you want to go to Twitch. So that's where I stream most of my streams. YouTube, I usually don't stream to. Okay. All right. Should we end the stream here? I think Ashley is coming home soon as well, and we're gonna have dinner. What pen display are you using? Pen display? I haven't. It depends on what you mean by pen display. I have a tablet without a display, which is the Wacom Intuos 2 Pro? I forget. That's the one I use on this computer. But then I also have the iPad, which is an actual display tablet. And so that's those are the two tablets that I have. Oh, I have Twitch chat on my stream. Neat. Currently looking at your math for game dev tutorials. Oh, good. That's the course I'm going to teach next week, and I'm going to stream that as well. That's why I'm doing the stream test, just to make sure that things are working, and it seems to work. I just need to remember to turn off the on-screen overlays and whatnot. Oh wait, actually, is there a... Are super chats enabled, or are they do they just not exist? The salad? What's your plan? Because I don't know if I need to. Hey, don't eat those. Hey, love. I'm still alive. Just a heads up. Salad? Do not. Hey. Hey, hey, no, hey. Wah. There you go. I'm banishing you to the other side of the desk. Well, so thank you. Glad you like my videos. Oh. Nope. Okay. All right. I should end the stream. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining this non-stream. This wasn't supposed to be a long stream at all. I just wanted to see if it would work. For those of you who are interested, I'm going to be streaming my math class next week. It's going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. And the week after that, it's going to be on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, I might not stream all the days last week, but we'll see. But yeah, so if you want to join for that, then it's going to be on YouTube. I won't be reading chat unless we're on break, because this is primarily for my students at Future Games. But I will be reading chat during breaks or during lunch. So if you wanna join for that, then feel free to. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining this impromptu test. All right. Well, thank you all for joining, and I will see you all next time.